Hi Scorpio, welcome to July. This is Teresa from Tarot by T. And before I start your reading, I want to call in some good energy. So this month we have a full moon in Capricorn, and it's an eclipse, a lunar eclipse. And that's on July 4th or 5th, depending on where you live. And then we have a new moon in Cancer. This is the second new moon in Cancer. But this one's at the 28th degree. The last moon in Cancer, new moon in Cancer, was an eclipse at the 0 degree point. And that will be on July 20th. In the meantime, Mercury is retrograde at the beginning of the month, and then it will go direct on the 12th of July. And we'll get into the astrology later, but let's just see for the month of July, what will this eclipse cycle bring for you? Because this is the last eclipse in Capricorn. We were having eclipses in the Capricorn Cancer axis over the past year or so, like maybe 2 years. And now everything's shifting to Gemini and Sagittarius. So we will see what this should be this is the final hurrah for this eclipse, for this cycle. So we'll see what that means for Scorpio. And what do the cards say for Scorpio? What does Scorpio need to know for the month of July? What will the eclipses bring? What endings and new beginnings are coming up for July for Scorpio? Sun, moon, or rising? Let's see what we get. The Page of Wands. The Strength card. The Six of Swords. The Four of Swords. The Hierophant. The Two of Wands. The Tower. The Eight of Cups. The Ten of Swords. The Eight of Pentacles. Okay, this is interesting. So I feel like you're leaving something behind and moving into something totally new. A new direction in your career. So the Page of Wands, that's a message. Pages are usually messages if they're not young people or children. But in this case, I think it's a message. And it represents good news. So you're going to be receiving some good news in July. You have the Strength card here. And this is what's crossing you for good or for evil. The Strength card is about controlling your emotions, controlling your reaction. So don't let people push your buttons in July. You may be dealing with someone. Now you could be dealing with someone who has an anger issue problem. Someone who just blows up and can't control their anger. And they probably could use counseling. And you're like taming the beast. So you could be working with someone like that who, every time they get upset, they blow up. They have a big, they get angry really easily. And you're having to calm them down. And you're having to deal with someone who can be like you have to walk on eggshells around. Or it could be even your own nature. Learning not to go to extremes of emotion. And learning how to be more calm. And not take things too personal, not get so affected that, one day you're up, next day you're down because of what someone said or what someone did. So you have to learn how to control. It's about self-control, controlling your emotional self. This is controlling the beast within, the part of us that wants to react, that wants to get upset and retaliate. You have to calm that down because there's going to be a lot of changes this month, and you have to be in a calm state. You can't act based on reaction. Like if someone's pushing your buttons and you just do something spontaneously, like someone pisses you off and, I'm going to just do this because I'm mad. That's when we make mistakes. When we do something out of a reaction and not out of a calculation. So you have to say, so if something is upsetting you or something you feel like I have to take action, either a person says something or does something or whatever, you have to say, wait, let me take count to 10, let me take a few deep breaths, and let me use my mind, not my emotions. Because when you're using your emotions, you're in your reptilian state. You have to use your higher mind. And say, okay, what's the best response to this? What's the best action to take? Let me just calm myself down and think logically. And that will help steer you in the right direction, because you won't be reacting, without thinking. So you have the Six of Swords here and the Four of Swords. The Six of Swords is about you're navigating a difficult situation. You've been existing in a difficult situation for quite some time. And this is about moving on. It's about realizing, I'm walking on eggshells, this is a tricky situation. And you've kind of felt frustrated because you have the Four of Swords here. You're kind of in the healing mode. You've been kind of, everyone has with the COVID. Everyone being locked down. Nothing's moving. But that's passing. That's ending. This is about moving away from difficulty, the Six of Swords, and moving on because of survival issues. You really need to move on. It's time, It's time to move on to something better, to something that has greater harmony. And so you're in the process of leaving something behind that maybe was toxic, maybe wasn't a good fit for you, maybe didn't honor you. The Four of Swords is resting and healing. You've been in that healing, resting mode. Maybe whatever you've experienced in the past, it kind of affected you on a deep level. Because you have the Tower here, which is waking up, being like, it's almost like a shocking revelation. You think someone's a certain way, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I never saw that side of you. And so it's like the truth has been surfacing. And once you know the truth, they say seek the truth and the truth will set you free. Once you see the truth about a person or a situation, you can't unsee it, and you know what you need to do. You just move on. You cut your losses, you move on. You have the Hierophant coming up in the future, the Hierophant and the Two of Wands. So there is a potential partnership under development. It's just developing now. And it could be a business opportunity, because it's wands. The Hierophant represents an organization that has been around a long time, very stable, very well known, very strict in its policies, very rigid at times. And I feel like there's some potential to partner with this new opportunity. And you have planted some seeds, because the Two of Wands this person is waiting to see what's going to come out. What's going to happen? I've planted some seeds. I've responded to this, new opportunity. Now I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see how it's going to develop. A part of you is a little afraid of it, because you have the Tower in your fear factor, your fear sector. You're thinking, this is going to mean major change for me. It's going to get me out of my comfort zone. Do I want this? Am I afraid of this? Because you're going to feel like you're breaking everything down and you're rebuilding. You're starting over in a new way, in a better way. So the Tower, a lot of people think of the Tower as disaster. I don't. I see it more as change is needed. It's time for you to make some changes. And whatever changes, no matter how, like now that whatever changes you make with the Tower, it may be difficult while you're going through it, because it's really getting you out of your comfort zone. It's making you uncomfortable. But once it's all done and the dust is settled, you're going to be in a better place. And you're going to feel like, I should have done this a long time ago, or, I know I had to go through all this craziness, but now I think I made the right decision. I'm in the right place. So while it's happening, you may think you're in the eye of the hurricane, like you're getting tossed around or things are just falling apart. But they're falling apart so that they can fall together in a better way. So if anything is being destroyed at this time, if anything seems to be crumbling, don't be upset. Just let it go. Just, it's the universe goading you and pushing you in a new direction that will be better for you in the long run. So embrace change. Don't run from it. Or be part of the change. A lot of times we can be the victim of change, or we can be the agent of change. So if you meet it halfway and you say, you know what, I am ready for a change, and I think I'm going to go, embrace this new opportunity. I'm going to try and make some changes. I'm going to let go of the past. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to rebuild. You'll see that months from now, maybe a year from now, you'll be in a better place, and you'll say, you know what, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here today. So, and also in your environment, you've got the Eight of Cups. So there could be something that you have been doing for a long time, and it really meant a lot to you at the time, but now it's no longer fulfilling. It could be a relationship that was once good and is no longer working. It could even be a job situation that, well, I was happy when I first got it, but now I'm kind of bored and I don't know, I need something else. So the Eight of Cups is about claiming your power and moving on. Finding that, like, there's something missing. You need to connect with something that has meaning. And you have these two eights. The eights are power. So you just have to claim it. You have to realize, where is that power? Have I been giving my power away just because of security? I'm putting up with stuff just because I don't want to rock the boat. And I'm afraid of what change might bring, I know what I have, I don't know what I'm moving towards. And but that can keep you stuck. The Eight of Cups, though, is about moving away from something that was difficult, that was once good, no longer fulfilling, and moving on. And you have the Ten of Swords here in your wish fulfillment sector. That, like, you're at the end of the line. You're like, you know what, I'm done. Something, when you wake up, I think this full moon might even bring the full moon's going to work for everyone in the same way. It's going to bring a realization, or it shines a light on things that were hidden. It brings things to the surface. So sometimes if you're not aware of certain things happening, when you see the truth, when what was hidden gets revealed, it can shock you. You could say, wow, I didn't realize that. But then it helps you make the final break or make the final decision. And the Ten of Swords is about, I feel I can't take anymore. I'm just going to move on. I'm done. When you get to the Ten of Swords, it's like, this is it. I need something better. I'm not going to be... So if you're in a relationship where you feel has been kind of toxic, I just can't take anymore. Or if you're in a work situation where you're not growing, you're stagnating, and plus you're dealing with people that are not nice, you're tired of it. You're like, done. I'm going to move on. So the good thing about the 10 is you're at the end. The worst is over. And you can only go up from here. You can only go better. You can't get any worse when you reach the 10. And you have the Eight of Pentacles as an outcome card. And that's a card of a new beginning. It's like the card of the apprentice. So you might be moving and taking your career in a new direction. Getting a job that's a little different than what you've always been doing. Like using your skills from the past, but learning new skills and applying them in a new way. And so you're at the beginning of a new cycle. The worst is over, you're starting something new. And I think it's going to be better than whatever you're leaving behind. So don't fear change, even if it means, you have to move to a new place, or it's totally disrupting your life for a while you're making the change, while you're in transition. In the end, you're going to be building something stronger in the long term. So don't fear the changes. So let's see, what does the astrology have to say? So you have the full moon in Capricorn is happening, and it's eclipsed. Whenever there's an eclipse, that's another thing I want to say. The eclipses are like, most of the times full moons and new moons are active for about a month until the next full or new moon the next month. But when you have an eclipse, the influence is at least 6 months. It could even be longer. Especially if, I think this is the end of a 2-year period, actually, where you've been shifting and changing and shifting. And you may finally reach a culmination at this full moon where you realize, this is what I have to do. I have to walk away. And in the third house, the moon falling in the third house and the sun in the ninth house. So the moon, it has to do with communication, the third house. It has to do with siblings, aunts, uncles, relatives, cousins, neighbors. So you might have had some, and especially with Capricorn there could be some harshness. Maybe you're dealing with people that are very rigid and very conservative, and they don't understand you or who you are, or they're kind of cold. Capricorn can be cold at times. So you may have been feeling like, I don't have the support. I don't have emotional support from my relatives, my close family. And with the third house, so something is coming to completion. You're finally waking up. You're seeing the truth. And the sun, because Pluto and Jupiter is also in the third house. Pluto can represent power struggles in relationships. And Jupiter in Capricorn, Jupiter usually brings luck and opportunity. But in Capricorn, it's not operating at its best in Capricorn, because Jupiter is an expansive energy and Capricorn is a restrictive energy. So Jupiter is kind of is operating with half the strength, you know. It's like everything's a struggle. Yeah, you can expand, but it's a struggle, you know. And everything you try to do to advance and to improve your life feels like a struggle. So you may have some harsh communication with relatives or people that are close to you. The Sun and Mercury are in the 9th house, so a message is coming from afar. You're receiving a message that has to do, and you could be dealing with a company that has global reach. And it could be, if you're changing jobs, it could have to do with higher education, teaching, learning, spirituality, even with media, multimedia or communication, the internet. It's about teaching what you know, maybe explaining what you know, using your wisdom to teach, because the 9th house has to do with teaching. So you're either teaching or you're learning. So for some of you, you might be thinking about going back to school for more training. I'm not saying like a full course, but maybe just taking some classes to enhance your skills. Or you might even be traveling. You might decide, you know what, I don't want to live here anymore. I want to move somewhere far away. Or my opportunities are not here. My opportunities are somewhere else. Not in my local environment. At the same time, you have Uranus going through the 7th house. And this moon is favoring Uranus. So it's in Capricorn and Cancer. Capricorn is trine Uranus and Taurus, and Cancer is sextile Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus in your 7th house, it can bring some instability in relationships. And it could bring surprise new relationships. So you might, either you're dealing with someone who is a free spirit, hard to pin down, someone who doesn't want to be tied down, they want to be like have an open relationship, they want to see a lot of different people, you know. Or it could bring someone in suddenly. Like you suddenly meet someone, they're really exciting, and it could start quickly and end quickly, just the same way. I mean, with Uranus, you just don't know. What it's teaching you in the 7th house is about partnerships and how much freedom do you need to give the person you're involved with. So if you're involved in a relationship, you may have to give each other a lot more freedom, and you may not be able to lock that person down. You know, in Scorpio, you have a tendency to want to hold on to someone, and Scorpios can sometimes be a little bit jealous because you want to know that person, you're like a one-on-one person. You don't want them dating other people or being interested in other people. That wouldn't work for a Scorpio. That would work maybe for a Gemini or a Sag even, but not Scorpio. Scorpio wants, like, if you're with me, you're either with me. You're either all in or you're all out. You know, I don't know this halfway. They don't go halfway. So, but if you're dealing with someone like this, it could be very frustrating, because here's this person, like, they're in and then they're out, then they're in, then they're out, you know, and so you may finally decide, you know what, I don't want any part of this. I want to find someone else that can commit to me. Or you may decide, you know what, maybe this isn't quite so bad. Maybe I can deal with this. Maybe I can change a little bit and allow a little bit more air and space between us. Neptune's in the 5th house, so you want, and the moon is sextile Neptune also. So you have to be careful that you're seeing, if you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship, you want to make sure that you're seeing this person realistically. You may have painted an image on this person of what you believe them to be or who you think they are, and they may not fit that 100%. You know, there may be some glamorous thing that you're seeing in them and that doesn't exist, or you may be giving them more credit than they're worth. So either way, you might find out the truth at the full moon. You may see certain truths in your relationships. Venus is in the 8th. Now, Venus has been squaring Neptune at the beginning of the month, and eventually it will square it again now that it's going forward. Venus went retrograde, and now it's going forward, so toward the end of the month and maybe into August, it will square Neptune again. And so that's when you have to be careful, when Venus squares Neptune. Like, am I with this person who seems like a soulmate? Is he really my soulmate? Or she? Or am I just, just dreaming about it? Like, am I not seeing this person? Like, maybe your friends can say, this person's not really right for you, but you think they're the most wonderful thing. So you want to be careful that you're seeing things realistically, that you're not giving your heart away, that you are giving your heart away to someone who deserves it. Mars is in the 6th, and Mars moves into Aries in July. Mars will be in Aries. Actually, it moved in the end of June, but like the 30th. So Mars will be in Aries until January. Now, Mars is strong in Aries. It's really strong in Aries. It wasn't too great in Pisces. It was kind of wishy-washy in Pisces. It was more interested in fantasy and dreaming about taking action rather than taking action. But when Mars goes into Aries, it's like, come on, let's get the show on the road. I am, like, your warrior energy has been fired up. And Scorpio, one of your rulers is Mars. The ancients, before Pluto was discovered, Mars was your ruler. So it's a co-ruler with Scorpio and Aries. When Mars moves into Aries, it's going to be really strong. And it's going to be in your 6th house. So now is the time for you to take action in your career, because the 6th house represents your work environment. So you may get fired up and decide to do something about your work and take action, take sudden action, because Mars in Aries has no patience. Like, I'm just out of here. I'm going to find an opportunity, I'm just going to move into it. The other thing that Mars represents, and when it's in your 6th house, you're going to be working really hard. Usually when Mars is in the 6th house, you want to be careful that you're not a slave to your job, because you're going to be feeling like a martyr. Like, I'm doing all the work, I'm not getting any reward, what's going on here? So if you're not being valued in your current job, you may decide to move out and get another one. And you'll have the energy to do it, because Mars is giving you that rocket fueled push, I should say. At least until it goes retrograde. So from now until like September, you have this energy working for you. So take advantage of it. Because once Mars goes retrograde, at the end of the year, it weakens, and you won't have that same strong energy until November when it goes direct again. So you don't want to initiate anything when Mars is retrograde. You want to do it when it's going forward. So you have this narrow window over the summer to push your agenda forward. The other thing that the 6th house controls is health. So if you're feeling under the weather, you may want to get checked out. Maybe you need some kind of Mars rules surgery. So some people may need minor surgery. If you're having any, physical issues, don't be afraid to go to the doctor. Get it taken care of, and then you're good. Now, Mercury is going to be squaring Mars through the whole month of July. And for you, that's going to be 9th house and 6th house. So you may have some, you might be having some negotiation issues with someone at a distance. Or the 9th house can also represent belief systems. So you may be arguing over ideology with someone that you work with. Like, maybe you see things a certain way and they see things a different way. And you're going to be butting heads. So you want to be sure that you don't let anyone push your buttons where you react in anger. Try to stay calm. And especially since your travel houses are affected, your 9th house is the house of travel. Don't drive when you're angry. Don't get mad and then get in the car and, skid out and not pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention. Don't be driven by anger. Learn how to control your anger, and you'll be fine. Now, you have a new moon in the 9th house at the end of July 20th, in Cancer. So you may find a new environment that is very nurturing to you. Cancer is about motherhood and nurturing and, healing. Either you're going to be on a new path where you're helping, you're either teaching or learning or whatever the path is. It may have something to do with healing or taking care of others. So it could be some type of social work. The only thing is, if you're starting something new and you're leaving something behind, you have Saturn in the 3rd house. And so you may butt heads with an authority figure. So whatever you're leaving behind, they're not going to be happy. So just be prepared. And you have Mercury in the 9th. That's great for communication. But it's sextile Uranus in the 7th. So this opportunity could have come up out of the blue. When you least expect it, you get this message, a sudden opportunity. Hey, we want you to work for us. And not only that, Mercury sextile Uranus, it's a very innovative aspect. So you're coming up with a lot of ideas. Whoever you're dealing with, they may see you as someone who is very, very innovative, very intelligent. You know, you're a good communicator. And or you could be dealing with people like that, with people who are brilliant. You know, you're dealing with people that they've got their stuff together, and you can admire them for their intelligence. Jupiter's in your third with Saturn. Saturn's moving back into Capricorn. So whatever issues, you know, if you haven't worked out issues around communication or relatives or neighbors, siblings, it's your final chance to do so, to close the door on that, to work something out with them. Or you might see certain things with them. You may feel like, oh, they're being so stuffy. Why are they being so difficult? Because Capricorn energy it's not very warm and fuzzy. It's kind of cold. It can be a little bit cold and distant. So you may feel like, you know, I don't feel supported. I just feel criticized by people in my local environment. And so Saturn is teaching you lessons about ways to communicate. How do I communicate in a way where I can where I can be heard? You may feel stifled in your communication by, like, the people that you're talking to. They don't want to hear it, you know, and they just block you or they brush you aside. But you have Neptune, you know, so Jupiter is sextile Neptune, though. And so is Saturn and Pluto. So while at the same time, you know, you have opportunities to do work that's really fun, to change what you're doing into more of a fun, because Neptune in the 7th is in the 5th is very creative. The only time you have trouble with Neptune is when you're dealing with relationships. But if you're dealing with something that has to do with art or creativity, Neptune is a support. It's like your muse. So you're going to be coming up with a lot of creative ideas. So take advantage of that, especially with Jupiter. Jupiter also always brings money and abundance and opportunity. So there's going to be an opportunity that comes up in July to make major changes in your life. And it could involve travel, because the travel houses are being activated. And it will involve communication, possibly long-distance communication. So you might be communicating with someone at a distance. Maybe you're getting a job that's remote, you know, a remote job, and the company is in another location, and you're working from a, you know, different place. Like, it could be a foreign company. Any of those things are possible. Or it could be an educational institution or a government institution, or a spiritual institution, you know, where you're talking about your belief systems, because the 9th house is also about taxes and legalities. So it could be some legal situation. You might be signing contracts that have some kind of legal aspect to it. So if you're going to sign anything, I would wait till Mercury goes direct after July 12th. Otherwise, check all the details, read the fine print. But the truth will come out at the full moon, and then you'll have an opportunity to make a new beginning at the new moon. And I think that you're going to be happy with the outcome, and you'll be able to leave behind all the stress that you've been under for a long time. It may represent a lot of change, like I said, but it's going to be good in the end. And the Hierophant is a stable company. If you're dealing with a new company, it's stable. It's not going anywhere. You may have to, it might be more corporate than you're used to, where you have to, you know, there's a lot of rules and regulations and stuff like that, but you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be happy, because you won't be dealing with the toxic energy anymore. So that's my forecast, Scorpio, for July. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I'm sorry it was running a little late. But if you like the reading, click on the like button, the subscribe button. If you'd like a private reading, click on the link in the description box, and we'll get you on the schedule. If you're new, welcome. And for those of you who have been supporting this channel, I thank you for all your support over the years, and I thank you for purchasing readings. I wouldn't be able to do this without you, and I'm glad to meet all of you and work with you. So enjoy July, Scorpio, and much success to you, and I will talk to you again next month. Okay, bye now.